speaking of these foul women's, Odell Beckham, he don't just play for the Browns.
It was right there. It was right there the whole time.
Oh man. Yeah, so these ladies that Odell was apparently messing with went on a podcast, No Jumper podcast, and basically said, one of them said that Odell likes to get into some freaky stuff. He likes it when women defecate on him, which isn't a new thing that I've heard of before. That's definitely something I've heard of people being into. I mean, heck, Saudi Arabia, they get it in. Don't think your favorite Instagram model ain't getting flown over to Dubai and getting a little poopy poop. So it's definitely a thing. But this Instagram, I don't want to say her name. I don't even know her name. I don't care. But she went on the
Keith's baby mother.
That's Chief Keith's. Oh yeah, Chief Keith's baby mother went on this podcast.
It's so fun. It's so like we literally just had a conversation about this like weird corner of the internet that is only rappers, Instagram models, and athletes.
Yeah,
and that triangle comes right back into this story.
That's it. That's it. So I mean, look, I think he handled it the right way. He immediately came out and just started joking about the whole thing. Like said, you know, like these women always talking shit about me. Like just coming out and just doing it the way that you are supposed to be doing it. My question is, have we gotten to a point with all the don't slut shame, don't fat shame, don't shame? Have we finally gotten to a point where we can stop fetish shaming?
I would hope so. He's not doing nothing that's not consensual. He's not out here beating on nobody. It's the opposite of the stuff that we were talking about earlier. It sounds he could have a healthy relationship and just have something that he's into. And shame on somebody for sharing that. The sanctity he needs to find. I would feel bad for somebody like that is that they haven't found somebody that just has the self-confidence and the care to not share something like that. To go, I would never want to hurt this person because that is a level of intimacy that they have shared with me, you know?
They didn't share more than intimacy.
And it's also the need to want to be famous too. It's like, it's so funny that it's to shame him, but it's like, hey, you were in there doing it. You know what I mean? You know, so, I mean, it's like do anything to be famous. Like I'll stab myself in the chest if somebody asks me to do it and then go, oh, that person's crazy. It's like you stabbed yourself in the chest. You know?
Right.
But
my thing is, go ahead, LeClerc.
Well, I don't understand how she's revealing how she got shat on and it's supposed to be meant to embarrass him.
No, I thought he got shat on.
Oh, is that how?
Yeah, he wanted her to poop on him.
Oh, I just remember her hearing that she kept saying that he was asking for videos of her pooping.
Yeah, he wanted videos of her pooping.
And then he wants her to poop on
and then he wanted her to come, and I guess they were having sex or whatever, and he wanted her to do it, but she couldn't do it because she's not into it or whatever. But he wanted her to poop on her.
See, he should have taken her out to eat first, and it would have been easier for her to perform.
Get them cheddar biscuits, and maybe you can get something.
Yeah. I went out with Odell Beckam. How was it? Well, he took me to Golden Corral first.
But this is something that we talked about earlier. Or like at a certain point, yeah, I think shaming is, you know, fetish shaming, sex, whatever. But also, I and this is just me, whatever, judging me. I don't feel bad for people when you look at them and you go, do you know who you was with? Like, you know who you was with. There's just certain things you should not be surprised about. I'm not going to entrust my intimate secrets and fetishes and things about me that would be embarrassing if they were to be publicized with, no disrespect, Chief Keith's girlfriend. Like, that's not We're not doing that. We not taking it there.
Somebody that dated Chief Keef, are you saying that you don't necessarily trust their judgment?
This is exactly what I'm saying, which is the same point I made earlier. I stand on that. I keep that same energy.
No, they're sex workers. That's the thing. It's the wanting of these things for, and not necessarily associating them with like price or risk. Like I think if you go with a high end sex worker, this is a person whose business model relies on discretion. I think that's probably a better thing for people like in Odell Beckham's position. You shouldn't be doing these things with people that want to be famous.
That's probably the best advice any of these dudes could ever receive. Do not do any of these things with someone who wants to be famous.
Yeah.
And they all want to be famous.
They all want to be famous. Because could you? I'm pretty sure Chief Keef is a nice young man, but I just wonder, what did the Tinder conversation like? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just, I don't know.
I'm genuinely curious about where we're heading culturally, because there's been this huge push for us to normalize these type of conversations, right? There's a huge push for us to normalize sexual behavior, to normalize preferences, but then we're still chastising and openly criticizing people who fall underneath these categories. So which one is it, right? It's hard to advance this conversation and try to normalize these conversations when it's so easily weaponized. Like, remember what happened with Dwight Howard? This is like during a trans movement.
Yeah.
Like, right. Amidst the trans movement, an NBA player is accused of being with a trans person. And what every meme I saw was talking about Dwight Howard, and he was the butt, pun intended, of all those jokes. So yeah. I'm curious, like, where do we draw the line, right? Because these are always going to be talking points. These are always going to be interesting to talk about. But go ahead.
No, I think it's two things. One, it's, again, I say again, it's easier to make fun of men for certain things than it is to make fun of women for certain things. And vice versa, depending on the subject. But in particular, when it comes to things like kinks, anything that a man would be normally embarrassed about, like when it comes to sex, women are going to be less embarrassed about sexual behaviors or fetishes or things of that nature. It's just like, it's not as like women get scrutinized for having sex. Sure, they get scrutinized in that way, slut shamed or whatever you want to call it, but they don't necessarily get scrutinized for the types of things that they do sexually within the confines of a relationship. Whereas a guy is more like, a guy won't get scrutinized for having sex with many people, but he will get scrutinized for the types of things he does sexually within a relationship. So yeah, I think it's just
guys can have sex with a million girls, but let one take a shit on your chest,
it's a wrap. It's a wrap for you. And
we're a very sexually expressive people when it comes to like heteronormative sex, but people always forget that we're also evangelical Protestants overwhelmingly. So anything outside of a man fucking the shit out of a lady then becomes like some kind of bizarre, like even just a dude like looking through the window is too gay for, you know what I mean? Like it's the weirdest freak out. It's like we're the only people that could invent like gaggering, but then just be weirded out by anything else. It's like, you jump off the roof and have sex with a woman, but don't you dare suck a toe. If you suck a toe and we find out about it, we'll drag you.
Yeah. But I think when it comes to fetishes or when it comes to anything like that, whatever has not been talked about or normalized is the thing that's still going to get made fun of. So until I can remember a time where a girl, especially a black girl, would murder you before she would admit to sucking dick. It was only the white girls was doing that. This is allegedly. No, don't cancel me for being racist. I'm just telling you what we were talking about in high school. This is 1998, all right?
Yes, it was a different time.
Different time. And then I remember there was a time where a dude would murder you before he would ever admit to licking an asshole, okay? Before he would admit to putting a tongue anywhere near the butt. Before, I remember when going down on a woman was like forbidden with dudes in the 90s, right? Dudes rapped about it in songs. It was crazy time. Now we can't even fathom something like that. So I think it's just until people, whatever that fetish or whatever that sexual act is, until it just somebody is just like, yeah, I'm into that, and then someone else goes, oh, word, it's cool, it's okay to admit that now, and then just more people just kind of admit that. It always stays stigmatized.
Yeah, but I also think like Odell should be more responsible.
Oh, 100%.
I think like when I look at the story, like it all boils down to him being more responsible and taking more accountability with who he's sharing, not just his body with, but like his like kinks with. I think, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he should just settle down and get married and have, because I don't know if you want your wife shitting on your chest. I think that might be something reserved for a very strange woman. But I do think that like for a person who has as much resources as Odell has, he can be doing this. Rich people have been doing this forever, by the way. So he could be doing this in a way that is carried with more professionalism, like Justin was alluding to earlier.
Yeah, there's just a certain. I mean, I don't know. I can't relate to being 25 with $80 million.
Right.
But
that's the other thing. That's a good point.
Yeah, because it's the laziness. Like it's like you have to think of yourself as like a financial institution that has like risk management. You know what I mean? I don't think you're thinking that when you have so much access and all of that money. But you know, I don't know. I feel bad for the guy. I feel bad I mean, you know, he's got to be more careful. But for someone to violate someone's trust in the context of intimacy is a really shitty thing to do. And
yes,
pun intended. Yeah. But
Yeah.
Listen, you hit on something very interesting, Justin. With someone with that access, he's a good-looking dude. He's a famous football player. He has millions of dollars. I'm going to guess that he's had his fair share. There's a certain point where you just reach the outer realms of your sexual promiscuity and you just go, you know what? I'm bored and I need this like regular sex just don't do it for me. I need something else.
Yeah.
Something else. And that something else goes into other realms. And I'm not judging, I don't care, but I think that is, you know, for people who just don't understand that lifestyle, is no different than, you know, you reach the outer realms of porn and you're just like, well, now I need, you know, I need the great aunt comes over and mows the lawn porn, like, because I've ran through every category there is known to man. Like, it's just, you reach a certain limit and you know, all these these millionaires, that eyes wide shut, that's the real thing. Like, people be into some wild, kinky, freaky shit when you get to that level of fame and fortune. So none of it surprises me, but I think you're right. You should be more responsible with who you do it with. Sign up for a club or something. Do something.
Yeah, that's why it was so important. He was for the culture. He was for the rich culture is what he was for.
All right, everybody. Good night.
Good night, everybody. The feds kick in the door. Prince Andrew has entered the chat.
We're gonna mark that time. I'm gonna mark that time. Let's see.
In closing, this is why we needed Jeffrey.
LeClerc Andre was right. The new album coming out.
Co-signed by Justin Williams and Carlton.
Yeah, totally co-signed by.
It's just a gift for you guys nodding in the background.
The reviews are like, we agree with the premise of this album and everything said on it.